Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
All right. Welcome to Game Over Ottawa history. This is going to be the least informative and most chaotic and sideways episode yet, frankly. So welcome to the show for the third time, Matt, and for the, I want to say, fifth time, Sam.
Has it been five?
Five.
I'm basically a regular now.
No kidding.
I'm waiting for my check.
You're 18 time zones away.
Right? All in the far off mystery land of Australia, but still I managed to get myself on Canadian computer screens all over Canada.
What are you doing there, Sam? What are you up to?
Oh well, I'm drawing the famous mascot of the Columbus Blue Jackets, the Columbus Blue Jacket.
Mm-hmm.
For those listening and not watching, I don't know why you wouldn't watch though if you know Sam's on the show, because you know Sam comes with the whiteboard every time.
Oh yeah.
He's currently drawn what definitely wasn't the Caps logo a few times.
Yeah.
Blue for the Blue Jackets.
In like 3 weeks, that's going to be every team from the Met. That's going to be all of them there.
Yeah. Just quickly, putting them all together.
Yeah.
We all know the bird is the best possible mascot a team can have.
It's true. It's true.
All right. Well, just before we get into the talk of the game, we're going to have a quick word here from our friends at Sports Interaction. Fellas, I'm going to hit the button. This is the future. I think this is the first time that either of you are on where it's pre-recorded, so that's fun. So welcome to the future, folks. And here's a word from our friends. Think you know what way it's going to go? Make your bet with Sports Interaction. Whether it's hockey, football, or basketball, Sports Interaction has you covered. Bet pregame, live in play, or on one of our many prop bets. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now and see all sports betting has to offer. Want to bet? Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. 19 plus. Please play responsibly. So that's 5 straight wins. I just came back and I see Sam.
Just shocked me.
Well, that's 5 straight wins. I'm going to hit the button. Columbus Blue Jackets, you just got sensed. Now, it is unfortunate that 2 of Matt's 3 appearances on the show this season have been against Columbus. The good news is that those are wins. The bad news is that I made you watch 2 Columbus Blue Jackets games.
I mean, here's the thing. You say unfortunate. I say targeted antagonism. Because me and Columbus go way back from the time I was there. And there's some bad blood. I'm not going to lie to you. Underwhelming. Columbus is a university town that has enough people to also have an NHL team. So, like
that's fairly descriptive right there.
I'm not joking. I was there for one night. Too many. The thing about Columbus is that it's Ohio State's turf. And Ohio State is one of the biggest universities in the States for sports, especially football. 100,000 person stadium, sells out every time for an amateur sport. And the Blue Jackets are also there in town somewhere, I think.
Within the city.
Because like I went to Ohio State Stadium. I have never seen where the Blue Jackets play.
I kind of feel like though, if you were like a local from Columbus, you would see Blue Jackets like on the bus though. Like you don't know where they play, you don't know where they train, but you just see them out in public, like doing groceries. Because they're not practicing. I just saw them play against the Sens. They're not out on the ice, doing their back
like, where's he going?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
All right, well, before this gets too off the rails, we should mention something about the game. So first off, from what I can tell on TV at least, a very successful Pride Night in Ottawa. Love to see that, especially with the fucking just like nightmare situations a lot of teams have caused on their Pride Night. So it's nice to see what looks like a drama-free Pride Night. Thankfully.
Yeah, like I when they announced it on Twitter, I saw some of the comments, and but it does
But it's
appear
not a
the
very
actual
nice
event
place.
has.
Yeah, the ratio is pretty good compared to a lot of other teams, thankfully. So, and also like how, like, I don't think I saw any clips, but like there was a few clips posted on from center ice where they were showing around, and all the seats were covered in a t-shirt, and it made like they had like the rainbow colors.
Yes,
and the whole
and that
deal.
was
Like,
gorgeous. That was gorgeous.
Oh,
That feels
just looking
nice.
at it is really, really nice. So
haven't had a
also,
rainbow
yeah, shout out to
before.
the Sens for giving out a free T-shirt to everyone in the. I don't know. It went up to the 300s, didn't it? Like, didn't it go all the way up?
I don't know. I can't confirm that.
Fucking
But-
like, man, free T-shirt. I'll sit and watch Columbus. Fine, yeah, I'll take a.
I mean, back in the back in the playoffs 5 years ago, we all got like little towels. So
I still have.
I
Mine.
imagine
I
teachers.
think ours have MacArthur on them.
Yeah, but I think at least one of them. We got. Did we go to two? But yeah, no, it's a very nice night. As far as I could tell, a tremendous success. Both, I mean, of course, off the ice, but also on it.
Yeah.
Can
and
you
then
imagine
also,
Eugene Melnick though, like knowing that he gave away perfectly good T-shirts? Or he's rolling wherever he is.
I did write down that it's about time that the Sens are embracing Pride Night. And obviously, you know, there is a big difference between now and years past, but who's to say what changed the stance for the team? You know, like who's to say what happened that made the team suddenly be like, oh, we don't hate the idea of anyway. We're not gonna. It's like
that thing from oh fuck, the vampire show, The Shadows. What's it
which
called?
one? Isn't there like a bunch? Oh,
what we do in the shadows.
What we do in the shadows, where it's like I could not possibly utter his name. I don't give a fuck. His name was Mike.
Yeah.
I remember going to that Ottawa game with you two, which was the game where they had the tribute to Eugene Melnick. You know, and everyone's just standing up and being like, what a great guy. What a great guy. And I was like looking at my calendar being like, that's not the opinion a month ago.
You know, it is what it is.
He was a controversial figure and a very
factually
controversial
correct
one at
statement
that.
from Samjo
A tremendously
himself.
controversial figure.
On the other hand, though, on a positive note, so wasn't his 1000th game, his 1001st game, but got to celebrate Derek Brassard playing 1,000 games in the NHL. Perfect timing as well. He played game 1,000 against the Rangers, where he played before his first stint with the Sens, and then gets to celebrate it at home against Columbus, the team that drafted him. So timing wise, phenomenal. Like, you can't even script that. That's incredible the way that went.
He went to the Avs after, right?
The Sens traded him to the Penguins, and then he went to the Avs. He played for the Panthers. He played for the Flyers. He played for the Oilers. Like, he bounced around a bit before coming back to Ottawa.
Really?
A real journeyman.
So good for him sticking with it. And he's having a...
Who among us hasn't wanted to see the sights?
Yeah.
See the world.
And he's had, honestly, like, I mean, there's a bit of a slow start, but I think he's damn close to a point per game in his last 8 or 9 games. So he's been really turning it back on. And he's putting together, you know what, for a guy that was a PTO, if I remember correctly, he's putting together a really good 35-year-old season.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to be a journeyman when you like define like where their talent is, because you look at some players who get bounced around the league and you go, oh, there's something wrong with him. But then there are players like Derek Brassard where it's like, well, you're just not quite elite, but you are worth a couple of valuable picks or like a good in a trade.
Because the thing, like, what is it with Journeyman? Is it that, you know, do you go to a whole bunch of teams because, you know, you're not that desirable, or do you go to a bunch of teams because a bunch of teams want you? You know, like,
exactly.
I think it's both. I think it's both. No one's like needing to hold on to you, but you're a person that everyone can use. If you're put in, like, I guess it's not baseball terms, it's every sport, but if you're even on WAR, I mean, everyone needs a replacement level player. But I think calling Brassard a journeyman is a little bit of a disservice to, I mean, maybe these last 2-3 years, but like, he was a very good second, first line, you know, that sort of tweener center. But I think the problem is that when you're in that sort of level, you don't have as far to fall off, but while still being, you know, like Crosby at his height was the best player in the league or second best player in the league. So it'll take a while for him to get to sort of replacement level, but Brassard, shorter fall. That said, though, I mean, like you said, he's been very good lately.
Yeah, so
Um,
also great. I'm pretty sure he had a bunch of family at the game too, just being fairly local-ish. Family coming from Montreal area, I think he said, and also the
I
fact that
thought
it
he
was
was
a
from I thought he
Saturday
was
game.
from Gatineau. I thought he was from
Is
Gatineau.
he Gatineau? And I know you mentioned family from Montreal being able to come because it's a Saturday game. So
Oh, I mean, either way, yeah.
yeah, I think if you're from Quebec, you have some family in Montreal. I think that's just a given.
It's a big city. It's a
But
huge
yeah,
city.
also big for him to be able to celebrate that at home now, and yeah, like I said, against two teams he used to play for, right around. It's kind of
Yeah,
perfect.
very cool.
So shout out Derek Brassard.
Speaking of family at the game, though, that picture of Jacob Chychrun and his grandpa, what a game for him. Point per game now.
So Matt sent me a message during the game because he didn't realize that it was Jacob Chychrun's grandpa.
No,
but
no,
you sent
I
me...
knew. I
Did
knew
you know?
that. You think I see a man that dripped out and I don't know who he is?
I think your exact
You think I
words were
see
just...
a man that's
I think you just
iced
said
out and
grandpa.
sentenced? I knew from the moment I laid eyes on him. That man's someone's grandpa.
Yeah. Do you think Jacob Chychrun's grandfather has an Arizona jersey? Because I don't think he does.
No.
That's a good question.
I think that he showed up to the CTC today, took a hat off an employee, and has been wearing it since. And I do not think that hat was paid for, allegedly.
He probably walked into the uniform shop and was just like, "This is a picture of me with my grandson. I'm going to be taking these. You're not following me out."
No, exactly. You gave up a first in 2 seconds. You can give up a hat and a 3/4 zip.
Yeah.
All right. Real talk though. He was eating. So Grandpa Chychrun. I don't quite know. Chychrun.
Chicky bag.
Dripped out, dressed to the nines, sends head to toe. Rocking some Timmies. It looked like he was eating like a pizza out of like a Tim's wrap. I don't know what that was.
I don't know what he was eating, but he was eating it
right
when Chychrun scored.
Yeah, and he stood up and then took like another bite, which I get it. I don't know.
Victory has it.
No.
It's like is Tim Hortons doing paninis now? Like what was that?
Maybe.
Yeah.
But it was like
Jimmy,
one-sided.
can we pull that hot dog up?
Yeah.
Can we pull that?
I don't know what he was eating. If anyone watching in the chat knows what Chychrun's grandpa was eating there, we're all very interested.
Yeah. Give me the PDF of the Tim's menu. I need to know.
Yeah. Also, side note, guys, have I told you guys how obnoxiously overpriced Tim's is in the UK?
They have Timmy Hortons in the UK.
There's a few, and there is one here in Leicester, and unfortunately, so to get a box of a dozen donuts, it's priced. Number one, the number is higher here than in Canada before conversion.
Okay,
it's about twice the price because over here, Timmy's is like a specialty place, right?
Yeah, like a niche thing. Yeah,
everyone just let Jacob Chychrun's grandpa know how good he has it with his cheap Tims. Listen, when your son and your grandson have both played in the NHL, like you don't need the cheap Tims. Like they could take our prices.
No, you get the good shit.
I think Jacob Chychrun's grandpa and I should swap Tim Hortons prices.
No, he's got that backroom Tim's menu. He's got that like secret Tim's shit. Going on.
The players.
What do you think is more exciting for a grandparent, though? Well, not a grandparent, but a human being.
Yeah.
Like your son playing in the NHL or your grandson? Because I kind of feel like the grandson is the more exciting thing because you got more time to involve yourself in it.
I think, and you don't have to drive them to the rinks in the morning. I think on its face, like grandson's probably like better. But I think because it's the second one with the son, you're like, holy shit, this is not only with the second one, you're like, I feel like maybe there's a level of expectation or a level. I think the son is more exciting because it's first. Choose a pattern sort of thing, right?
I think there's like a level of stress though that's different though because
definitely.
You know, you're excited for your grandkids. Nothing can go wrong. But if it's your child, you're kind of like, oh, don't put him on a bike without a helmet. You know.
Fair.
So Jeff Chychrun. So here's just, we're going to talk about Daddy Chychrun here. We've talked plenty about Grandpa Chychrun. Let's talk about Papa Chychrun here. So
and then next,
Jeff
maybe
Chychrun-
the current player.
Yeah, so Jeff Chychrun played 262 NHL games, and important to note that we also saw in the stand someone wearing a number 6 Philly Chychrun jersey. Someone had a Jeff Chychrun jersey at the rink, which was very cool to see. So he played 262 games, 25 points. That's a stay-at-home defenseman right there. But he was also involved in 2 separate blockbuster trades. In 1991, he was traded from Philly, and this is wild. This is me maybe losing some hockey cred. Where was this? When did he? This is so strange. I don't know if this is just listed wrong. It says traded from Philadelphia Flyers with Yari Curry to LA. I had no idea Yari Curry played for the Flyers, and according to his hockey DB, he didn't.
Maybe like a draft thing, like a pre-debut.
I don't know if he just got signed by the Flyers and said, actually, I regret that decision. Anyway, so he was part of a Yari Curry trade, and then the next year, he was part of a trade that sent Paul Coffey to LA from Pittsburgh. So Jeff Chychrun was in a Yari Curry and a Paul Coffey trade. So that's pretty wild for a guy who only played 260 games to be part of 2 trades involving Hall of Famers. So how about that? Fun little fact for Jeff.
Normally you don't want to get traded for a cup of coffee, but that one ain't too bad. Hey. I'm definitely pausing myself.
I've done some research.
All right.
So we got Jacob, we got Jeff. The granddad's name is John.
Yeah.
Who's next?
I love that.
Oh,
Who's next?
So I don't think so. Jacob's 24. Does he have a kid yet? I don't know if he has.
He better be called Jason.
It's got to be a J. It's got to be a J.
Yeah. So what are we landing on? Are we all throwing in our J picks? Is that what we're doing?
We're all throwing in our J's. We're all shooting J's.
So Sam says Jason.
Okay.
Now, is that going to be a standard spelling? Because here's the deal. Because we got like standard spellings until Jacob with the K. So now is Jacob going to be throwing in a curveball with his J name?
It's you know what? It's going to be spelt normally but pronounced differently. Jason.
Oh, Jason.
Yeah, a little bit of French Canadian in there. Jason.
Okay, just spelled normally though.
Yeah, spelled completely normally. So you would have no way of knowing.
Matt, what are you thinking?
You'd have to be told. I'm thinking jump shot.
Jump shot
Chychrun. Thinking he shoots a J. I'm shooting mid range. That's the thing That's the thing they don't tell you about hockey. There's no jump shot yet.
If he plays football, name his kid J Hook. Chychrun.
J Hook. J Hope.
Oh man. Las Vegas Golden Knights with their number 1 pick choose jump shot Chychrun.
What do you do to stop that? Unbeatable. What are you gonna do against a man who
but then he has to play in the WHL. He's gonna have to move to the West. I'm trying to think of an actual name now, and I can't. He's gonna marry into I can't do that because Sam's already going with the French thing. So
there's another J name just in this chat alone. If you're really desperate for one.
Sure. If you can't.
This is a rough one. This is a rough. I'm gonna throw.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw. Oh man, this is tough. We were just talking about Yari Curry. So I'm gonna toss Yari in there as a
Yari Chychrun's pretty good. I haven't pronounced his last name right once.
Yeah.
Chychrun.
I think it's Chychrun.
Okay, once more for the. Okay, got it.
Cheeky babe. That's how I remember it. He's a cheeky babe.
Yeah. Cheeky babe. Chychrun.
Cheeky babe Chychrun. That's a cool sounding hockey name. I think it'd be worth asking the people watching.
Cheeky babe Chychrun.
Yeah.
Oh,
comment your own son of Chychrun names.
Yeah, we'll workshop it.
I love
like
I love that we're talking about this before the fact that we talk about he has his first point with the Sens, which I mean is very
He'll
us.
have more points. He'll have like one child.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
What's more
So
special?
Chychrun puts up a
First
goal
assist, first goal. Great
Yeah,
game for him.
what a shot too, eh? Like, oh my
That was a
god.
laser.
So that's great to
So
see.
bad.
I wonder how many times
we
we're gonna see
mentioned
him just friggin' rocket a shot like that and cut to Grandpa crushing some Tims in the stands.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think it was
speaking
his
of the
eighth this season.
Rockets, oh sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, I think it's his 8th this season, so he's had a couple.
Hmm. Well, I was just going to say you brought up his rocket of a shot, but what about the rocket on his legs? I didn't realize he was that fast. There were just
I
moments
honestly
where he
didn't
was
either.
just like, yeah, he's skating normally, and then suddenly, boom. Yeah, like genuinely, like he had like a little rocket coming out the back of him. He wasn't taking any different kind of strides. He was just suddenly moving faster. It was kind of intense.
Yeah, I mean, granted, it's just been 2 games. I mean, I feel like a novice for not really watching him in Arizona, but honestly,
Yeah, I mean,
he seemed like a very complete player. Like, I don't really. He was good in both ends, from what I could tell, and it's small sample size, but he seems to be sort of just quite good everywhere, which is.
Yeah, and like I don't want to say this in like a disrespectful way to Thomas Chabot or Jake Sanderson, but I think I'm allowed to say this just because this season, as far as like what we were expecting out of him, and just at times Thomas Chabot has struggled this season. Jake Sanderson, even though he is so much better than anyone expected in his age 20 rookie season, he's been phenomenal. Like, there's no way you can tell me that Chychrun isn't immediately the best defenseman on this team right now.
yeah,
That's high praise.
Like,
All of a sudden, the Sens have a decor. Like, how
isn't that
good
wild? Hamnick had
what,
2
what
goals.
really impressed me
What the
was
fuck
how
was that about?
yeah, I mean, everyone played better around him. Like, it wasn't just him bringing the boom. Like, it seemed like there's a new energy into the Senators. Like, they're almost a different team, just like right off the bat. And you know what else I really thought? You said he was good all over the ice, Matt, but I think he's good off the ice too. Like, in the locker room after that first goal. You know, everyone hugs the goal scorer, but the smiles on some of those faces were like, it's almost intoxicating. They were so happy for him. And that's how, you know, someone has come into the room and immediately like made themselves well liked, which speaks to his long-term future there.
Yeah, I mean, they've got him for 2 more years. I think he's got that hometown connection. Was it his dad is from here, I believe, or something along those lines?
I'm not quite sure. I know he was. I think he maybe lived in Ottawa for a bit. I know he said he's been to a lot. Like he went to some of the Stanley Cup final games in 07. I'm still a little bit iffy on exactly what the connection is exactly. All I know is that his grandpa and his sister live in Ottawa, so there's clearly like a family connection.
I worked with someone who worked with I worked with someone who knew his dad, so like they're at least very familiar with Ottawa.
And I remember even during the 2016 draft when the Sens traded up to get Logan Brown, there was a lot of talk because Chychrun was falling in that draft, and there was talk about Ottawa, you know, usually going for guys with a connection.
Yeah.
But there is a connection there because people were, I don't know if you guys saw when the Sens acquired Chychrun, people were digging up old tweets of his that mentioned Ottawa in any way.
Yes.
And he like specifically had tweeted out in like 2012, I guess, so he probably would have been like 14 or something, like how he just wants to hit the go to the cottage in the Ottawa Valley with Logan Brown. So that was
Oh, man.
What a weird world we live in.
You know,
it's
you bring
wild.
up Brown, it just makes me think of Connor Brown. And I told this joke to you before, but I think it's good enough for the show. The Washington Capitals, we deserve Jacob Chychrun on the weekends because you fleeced us with Connor Brown. You traded that pick that we sent to you for a player who did 1 game for us. I felt like we bought a bomb car. And we demand compensation.
Well, the thing is about Connor Brown is that it feels like this is the first time that the team trading him away is not super upset because so Connor Brown when the Sens acquired Connor Brown, because Connor Brown came to the Sens in the same deal as Nikita Zaitsev that sent Cody Ceci to the Leafs, and that was a weird deal because Sens fans were like, oh my god, Ceci's gone, and Leafs fans were like, oh my god, Zaitsev is gone. But Connor Brown was like the main piece where Leafs fans were like, ooh, he might actually be really good. Then he put together some really good seasons for the Sens.
Yeah,
and the Sens
43 and 71 his first season here. Good lord.
Yeah, he put together a couple. I think it was his last year with Ottawa, or second to last. I think it was the COVID season. He really put together a really solid season.
Yeah, 21 goals, 35 points in 56 games, over a half point per game. Way over a half point per game, actually.
Like,
I truly think it's
a really solid two-way player. And I think the issue is that once he's healthy, if he stays in Washington, you're going to really like him.
He's like a solid second, third liner.
I'm sure he is, but we picked him up specifically because Tom Wilson was injured. We were like, this is a guy who we can slot on our first line. You know, he's strong on the puck. He goes to the boards, and he'll be able to fit in there and take over that spot till Wilson gets back. And then ironically, he actually got the exact same injury that Wilson did. But in that meantime, we picked up players like, Sonny Milano. We've recently re-signed Dylan Strome. And I don't really think there's any room for him. As great as a player he is, I kind of just feel like we just kind of threw away a pick and got nothing for it.
Think this way, you could probably trade him away for a second.
Well, it's a bit late for that now.
You can do it again.
Hey, man,
resign him and immediately
Sam,
trade him.
don't worry about it. The trade deadline only affects teams going to the playoffs. The Caps can move them all they
want.
want.
That's right. Oh, good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were a glass house.
Remember the Sens acquired Brandon Gormley after the deadline one time?
The Gormster.
Oh the Gormster. Also from Living in the Mist in the chat, just to clear up some Chychrun stuff. So like I said, yeah, his sister and his grandpa live in Ottawa. It says here his dad grew up in Nepean and owns a cottage in the area where he hung out with Logan Brown. So so Nepean, man, I know his dad was born in Quebec. So I guess but grew up in Nepean. So Nepean, the Chychruns, Steve Yzerman, not a bad resume for Nepean. That's Matt and I. That's our neck of the woods. So gotta love.
I was gonna say that sounded familiar. That's where
that's where we grew up. So
do you want a Gormster update?
Yeah, you should look that up. Hit us with some Gormley stats.
Gormster update. Third KHL team in 2 seasons.
Oh, okay.
It's not going well. It's not going well for him.
When you're a journeyman for the KHL, that might be saying something.
It's one thing I will say about Brandon Gormley is that he has not put up 20 points in a season in any league since 2013-14. But, c'est la vie.
Maybe one day I'll see him on the Melbourne Mustangs.
He's only 30. He's a defenseman. Never mind. He's not still a player. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm upset because I'm going to an EIHL game this month, and I didn't go last year, unfortunately, when Griffin Reinhart was on. What team was he on?
What's serving looks? You can just say serving.
It was
looks.
Belfast. He was on Belfast. That's who he was.
Oh,
with.
the Giants.
I'm seeing going to a Nottingham versus I forget who they're playing. Whoever's in last place. So going to a British hockey game this month, and Gormley is the type of guy that you would just kind of see on a roster like that at some point.
I sent you two things. I saw that they averaged like 5,000 people in attendance, like pretty good. Nottingham, and former Sens draft pick Kelly Summers was there, or is there rather right now. I think he was second in scoring. I want to say.
Nice. All right.
We got that Sens Nottingham connection, like everyone predicted.
Gotta love it.
I think the EIHL actually had was fourth in attendance among European leagues a year or two ago.
That's weird, but awesome. I love that.
It is. That'd be cool.
I cannot wait. I can't wait for Australian ice hockey to be able to get the budget to afford more players like that.
Cool. We're mapping out ex-Caps and Sens players to the Melbourne Panthers or whatever. The Melbourne.
We have 2 teams. It's the Melbourne Ice and the Melbourne Mustangs. I'm a Mustangs fan. Fun fact: our coach last year he's no longer our coach. He's now playing on our D line. So it's like right out of Shoresy.
That is wild. That's like DJ Smith suiting up to play defense.
Yeah, like literally.
Do you think it's a pay upgrade or downgrade?
But honestly, he was a shit coach. I'm sure he's a great player, but it was clearly like he was playing in some German league. He broke his leg, and they're like, well, okay, on the off season, come to Australia and coach. And then his leg healed up, and he's like, well, I'm going to go back to playing, because he literally at the end of that season he went over to Germany to play, and we're just bringing him back to play again for us, and we have a new coach.
Cool.
Okay, well, here's
I
a
can't
question,
remember
Sam.
his name,
Actually,
but
here's
he
a
actually
question.
coaches.
So, because like Southern Hemisphere, different seasons and everything, so I imagine
we have air conditioning. That's how we keep the ice.
I was going to ask. So like so the season runs through the winter for you as well.
Yeah,
correct. So okay, so like
it's about to start
off season. So during European off season, there's games to be played in Australia, essentially. So if he wants to go back and forth, I guess he could probably do that.
That's basically what he did. He went from coaching to playing like immediately, but he could just go from playing to playing and I'm sure he loves hockey. That kind of sounds like the dream, you know.
I was gonna say that's what a lot of like WNBA players do. They granted weather constraints are as important in that sport, but I know a lot of WNBA players will go to like Turkey or Europe or whatnot in the off season and have a second season essentially.
It's got to keep you fit.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, absolutely. You're never out of playing shape, which on its own probably sucks a bit, but helps with results.
Exhausted all the time.
Oh, God, yeah.
It sounds like an exciting life, though.
That's true. Living in two places, too.
All right, guys, let's gush about Tim Stutzle. Another two.
I was we should talk about the game.
I was waiting till we were going to get to that.
Tim Stutzle, man.
He's on my fantasy team. He gets me points.
Have you considered adding Hammond?
No, Sam, you should add Hammond.
Maybe I should get the big ham on board.
I was saying while we were watching the game, Hammond's going from a defenseman to a midfielder. It's ready. He's ready this time.
He's something else, Hammond, I guess, but also Tim Stutzle, who
equally valuable players.
I think is very funny that he, in only 2 more games played, has 3 more goals and 5 more points than Austin Matthews. And I know rent-free Leafs, fucking all that, but like, guys, that's not a rent-free me trying to dunk on the Leafs. Austin Matthews is an incredible player, and Tim Stutzle is having a better season than Austin Matthews. So that's not me being like, fuck the Leafs, Austin Matthews. That's me being like, look how friggin' good Tim Stutzle is.
I think you're allowed to say fuck the Leafs, though. That's my first F word on these videos, by the way, and I used it for the Leafs. But until he shaves that awful mustache, I refuse to support him. Also, there's some other stuff why I refuse to report him. Matt, keep your pants on. Just keep them on. Score goals. Okay. Don't get too drunk. I might get in trouble for that. This is a lot of Leafs fan on this.
No.
On this channel anyway. But yeah, all that to say, Tim Stutzle is having what we would have expected out of his 25-year-old season, not his 20-year-old season.
No, it's when you told me he was doing better than Matthews this year, I was like, well, surely no. That's not right. Like to your credit, like obviously a rivalry, but like Matthews is a tremendous player.
He's an incredible player.
Generational talent.
Yeah, and for Stutzle to be being ahead of him in points on a team that I imagine scores less is like, how? like not to diminish anyone here, but
I'm sure
how?
Like, there's been talks about like probably Matthews has probably been playing hurt for some of the season. He was out for a while. Maybe like lingering issues,
yeah, but you look at that Leafs lineup, then they just added Ryan O'Reilly to it. That's a stacked team, and I've no idea how they afford it. Like, I haven't looked at.
Well, they don't have any defenders signed. That's how they do it.
Okay, fair enough.
They have zero.
Who
did they have Matt Martin doing defense?
I don't even know who they have signed on D past the season other than Riley. Oh no, Jake McCabe, because they just got him and he's retained for
I thought they traded Riley.
Oh my God.
I thought they traded Riley.
No,
didn't they? No.
I traded for him. I'm pretty sure. Hey, I'm
Not
gonna do a quick
But
Google of
they
their
acquired
lineup.
O'Reilly.
Okay.
That's right.
Either way, Tim Stutzle having what is it and I know like I don't even know if they're really that similar players in their play style, but just being like a superstar level player who is German, naturally the comparison for for Stutzle has been Draisaitl since day one. And a lot of people are trying to compare like their seasons, kind of like first season, second season, and now third season. And people are pointing out that Draisaitl had a 77-point third season, which is phenomenal. But Stutzle is like blowing that completely out of the water.
It almost doesn't register just how good he's been. Because I don't the way I'm built, I don't have a register that goes that high, I suppose.
He's something else.
So I don't mean to talk about the Leafs again, but did you guys forget that they have Mark Giordano on their blue line?
Yep. No, I knew that.
Yes, I did.
I think I think he's currently the oldest skater, because I think the only player that's older than him in the league is Anderson. Actually, I think maybe
is Anderson the oldest in the league?
He might be. He's what, 41, isn't he?
Yeah, I just figured there was someone. I just used to Yager.
No, I think Giordano's the oldest skater, and Anderson's the oldest player just in general, I think. But anyway, quickly, I want to talk about Tim Stutzle putting up. Oh boy, I got to do math on this one. This is not going to be pretty. So obviously he's not going to put up this point total because he did miss a few games, so he's not playing a full 82. But he is currently playing this season. He's on a 93-point pace. Playing on a 93-point pace, and so that's his third season. 21 because he turned 21 in January, but essentially it's his 20-year-old season. He came into this season at 20 years old. Absolutely nuts. And Draisaitl, his 20-year-old season in 82 games, he had a 29-goal, 77-point outing for that season. Stutzle in 58 games already has 31 goals, more goals, which is wild because up until this year, you look at McDavid, Draisaitl, and Draisaitl was the goal scorer. McDavid was the guy feeding him the whole time, and now McDavid's just like, I feel like scoring 50-plus goals this season, so I'm just going to do that. So the fact that Stutzle is on like a better trajectory, because like I said, they aren't that similar in play style, I guess. So it's not a perfect one-to-one comparison. It's just the two like best German players probably ever by the time their careers are up.
Easily, yes.
Like,
I mean, who else? Carl Soderberg? Like,
yeah. So I think
there's a 7-year-old German kid who's lacing up his skates right now. He's going to blow them out of the water, and I cannot bloody wait for it.
Yeah, Jamal Musiala is actually switching over to hockey. I don't know if you heard about that.
Yeah,
big move.
So I don't know. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, Tim Stutzle guaranteed going to be better than Draisaitl, because I think Draisaitl is both underrated and perfectly rated. You know what I mean? Like Draisaitl, because everyone he's
the number 2 focus on the team.
McDavid, which isn't true, like at all. He's a phenomenal player. I don't know how good he'd be on a different team, but it's not like he's not just like.
Well, it's exactly Malkin. It's exactly Malkin. Like, this is a first ballot Hall of Famer who is overshadowed by a slightly better player on his own team. But there's no doubt Draisaitl is amazing. But it's to back to your point, like Stutzle. There's no way he can be Draisaitl, right? There's no way that's going to happen in terms of impact. But like, that's the trajectory. It's like,
yeah.
It's hard to believe.
Because that's the thing, right? Like, looking at current Draisaitl, 27-year-old Draisaitl versus 21-year-old Stutz, like it's no contest. I mean, Draisaitl in 62 games has 96 points. Is he playing with McDavid? Yes. Is he incredible as well? Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because the other winger is,
actually,
Jeff Jacobs, guy who works at a 7-Eleven.
It might be Nugent Hopkins. The Oilers this year offensively are nuts. Nugent Hopkins for a majority of the season has been on a 100-point pace. So.
Oh, really? Okay, never mind. I retract my 7-Eleven statement. Shout out to 7-Eleven.
Also, Zach Hyman with 72 points in 63 games. So. The Oilers are just so all that to say, like, I think a lot of their offense is boosted by McDavid naturally because that's how it works. But like, Nuge and Draisaitl might be both underrated because of McDavid. So when I'm trying to take that into account when doing the not super fair comparison in the first place between Draisaitl and Stutzle, but that's just like how it's going because everyone because at first it was like Stutzle's like a German Patrick Kane, and then everyone just kind of stopped talking about Patrick Kane because of his it's talking about Kane is up again because he's traded to the Rangers, but in general this season, everyone's kind of been like, oh, he's not that good. And so I think a lot of it was just like, look at his hands. He's going to end up being a Patrick Kane type player. And now because Kane is kind of out of the picture as far as like star level play, the go-to has been like Stutzle having a better third season than Draisaitl. And that's kind of what the narrative for Stutzle has been recently. So I don't know. I still don't think there's a perfect comparison between him and another player, but like it's fun to look at either way.
Yeah.
Where does Brady to Chuck come into that argument? Because you never talk about Draisaitl without talking about McDavid, obviously. But to Chuck, great player. It's not comparable to McDavid. So can we actually bump? Can we bump up the stud up? Because while he's playing with a good player, he's not on that power play with Connor McDavid.
Right.
A lot of that play he's driving himself.
Yeah, like the top three scorers on the Sens are that top line in Stutzle, Tkachuk, and Giroux. But you're right, Stutzle. I think the big difference between Stutzle and Draisaitl is Stutzle is the guy on his team. So, but we'll just have to see how.
Which is a team with Claude Giroux and Brady Tkachuk, as a reminder.
Yeah, and I also want to.
And he's
point
only
out
like 21. How old is he?
Yeah, Stutzle is 21. Yeah, he turned 21 in January, and I think another important point is that this is the first year that Stutzle has had players to play with, because when the Sens brought in Giroux and DeBrincat, everyone went, "Oh, that's an actual top six," not knowing that Norris was going to miss out like the whole season, right? Because last year the top line was Tkachuk, Norris, Batherson, and then Stutzle was playing with Connor Brown and Matthew Joseph after Joseph was acquired. Connor Brown and Nick Paul. Like, who was Stutzle playing with last year? And I think to your Tkachuk point, despite that, Brady Tkachuk last year playing with Norris and Batherson, which was a good line, but in 79 games, Tkachuk had 30 goals and 67 points. So nowhere near his 66 points in 62. Also in 62 games, Tkachuk has 26 goals. Like that, like
is
it helpful playing with Stutzle and like I don't want to say a completely rejuvenated Giroux, because Giroux was really good even last year with Philly and
Giroux's never been bad.
I'm pretty sure I'll just look to double check. I'm pretty sure he was a point per game with Florida for his like short time. He had 23 points in 18 games with Florida. So the last team he played for before signing with the Sens, he had 23 points in 18 games. So I don't know if we should be all that shocked that Giroux is above a point per game, 63 points in 62 games. But like, okay, so let me rethink this point I'm trying to make. Stutzle is absolutely the guy on that line, with two guys that are perfectly capable of being that guy on any other line, like the main play driver, the main offensive power.
I agree completely.
So anyway, Tim Stutz, all that to say, sorry, we kind of all tried to fit a bunch of points in that, but Tim Stutzle is just unreal. He's incredible, and I can't wait to see how the next 8 years that he's still under contract after this season go. Because, dude, that 8x8 contract he signed is
okay. But when he's going to be then a free agent, but I mean, obviously potentially at 29 of that caliber, the amount of money he could get.
Hopefully, the cap will have gone up.
I would
in 8 years, and it really hasn't moved in the past 5 almost now. But
which is a bit strange considering all the profit being made. But what am I to say?
I think I can't remember. This is I think this is like a year ago now, that I think Bettman said that like the goal was to bring up the cap to like 90 in the next 3 years, and how much did it go up last year? Like $1.5 million, $2 million? I don't even remember. It was like not enough for me to remember the number. I don't know.
Don't forget though, escrow, because sometimes you just can't. You shouldn't have to play all the money you've promised your players. That would be ridiculous. That's so much money.
From Trio C in the chat, this is an interesting topic here as well. DeBrincat a disappointment? Question mark. And I think my answer to that is yes and no. I think he's a disappointment in that he's not putting up a 40 to 50 goal season, which is disappointing, but also he's a great playmaker and nobody knew that. Like, no one knew he was a great playmaker until he was like, I'm not scoring, let me try and make some plays, because in 62 games he has 54 points. I'm not mad.
That's a lot. That is a lot.
That's 20 goals.
That's good.
In 62 games
for a guy in your second line. Also, remind you.
Yeah, and I know like
that's
20 goals in 62 games isn't great. DeBrincat, you're hoping in 60 games he's scoring 30, 35 goals, but like,
I mean, give me one more year. Give me next year with a healthy Josh Norris, and we'll see. Like I don't think he's been a disappointment per se, because he's still, like you said, a great player. It's maybe not exactly what we expected, but give me one more year and then I'll. Either way, the Sens are better with him and didn't give up much for him if memory serves, so I could not care less.
Well, you look at him and he's redefined the way he's playing. And if a player is able to successfully redefine themselves in such a short amount of time, that's a good long-term player. And even if it's not the one you originally expected, that's the one you want.
Mm-hmm.
You want someone who can be good into his mid-30s. And so sometimes you see people just fall off a cliff as soon as they can't do the one thing they were good at.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are scared because he is an RFA after this season, but his qualifying offer is $9 million, and I know a lot of people are freaked out about that. But like, I think the acquisition of Chychrun and knowing he's only making like 4.6 for the next 2 years, that gives you so much wiggle room, especially with DeBrincat. So, and I've had this conversation with a few people before where I don't think DeBrincat's the kind of guy who's going to sign an 8x8 after this year. I think he knows he has 50 goal potential. He's only 25. If I'm him, I'm probably betting on myself with a qualifying offer of $9 million next year. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. But I think he'll probably be perfectly fine to sign a qualifying offer next year, play his absolute heart out, and I think he wants to bet on the fact that he's going to put up 40 plus goals next year, because like we said, and I don't know how many episodes of the show, his shooting percentage is abysmal, and just like his shooting percentage is like unsustainably low. And he's had so many chances. He's such a smart player. He's in the right spot. He's just getting robbed or hitting the post a whole bunch. Like, I do think that he will score more goals next year, but I commend him for kind of taking on a different role this season. Just kind of seeing like, because he's making passes and just kind of seeing plays and making plays that I don't think anyone expected out of him. So. Yeah, I think he takes that qualifying offer for $9 million and bets on himself next year. And if he bets on himself and wins and puts up 40, 50 goals, like that's a win-win, I think. I mean, granted, he will cost more after that. But if we're looking at next year as like the year that the Sens are going to really push for the playoffs and be a real threat, I'm not mad having a 40 goal scorer on the team.
I mean, I
think it's important to note that this year in particular, the 2023 and presumably the 2024 Ottawa Senators are a team worth taking a team-friendly deal on. Like players want to play in Ottawa right now, and you know who knows, like that 9 might actually be a 7 or an 8.
For me and Matt, especially being fans of this team, we're not used to teams to like high-profile players being like, yeah, I'd like to play for the Ottawa Senators. So
yeah, I think there's lots of players out there right now who would be like, I can play with Giroux, Stutzle, and Tkachuk right now. Like these 3 dudes in particular. Yeah, I'll drop a mil off that contract. I'd love to be with these guys. I could do really well with them.
Yeah, and Jared in the chat here is saying, if he being DeBrincat doesn't sign for 3 to 4 years, we trade him at next year's deadline. Yeah, like. I think absolute worst case, you're going to see him sign that 1-year qualifying offer for $9 million and then kind of do like a bet on himself year. And if we get to the trade deadline and he still doesn't want to sign an extension, like Dorian's going to trade him at the deadline. But I just
swap the Anthony Mantha for him.
No, I'm good. I do think
He's
that
really good.
I don't know.
He drives play.
I think now, because a lot of people are saying like, don't sign DeBrincat long term. He's not scoring. Trade him for a defenseman. The Sens don't really need a defenseman anymore. How cool is that? The Sens don't need a defenseman anymore. They didn't
First time in
move out
memory.
an actual person out of the organization. I was talking about doing like in the offseason, doing like a Batherson plus deal for a good defenseman. Don't need to worry about that now either. So.
Honestly, I'd like to see. The only thing I think Ottawa really needs is a finisher on that bottom six, and it'd be. I don't think you need a trade or find anyone. I think that you'd be in a perfect position to bring someone up from your minors, to be a little bit of an intimidating fourth line finisher. Gets a little bit more youth, get your speed up. Get someone to kind of prove their potential for a long-term NHL future. I think they're actually in a really good spot for that.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is actually a really good point from
line
Jared as well in the chat. DeBrincat since November is on a 35 goal pace, so not quite
that's not bad.
Top tier DeBrincat, but I'm not mad at that. Perfectly happy with that. Trio C in the chat says need right D. Maybe not if you can get one of. I don't think Shabbat's going to be playing on his offside. So if you can get one of Sanderson or Chychrun to play on the offside, play on the right side there, I think that is great. I don't know who I like the idea of Chychrun playing on the right side, but if not, then yeah, I do agree. Maybe if DJ is stuck on the left side being Shabbat, Sanderson, Chychrun, which is insane. That is an insane left side of the defense. But if you're stuck on that, because like Brandstrom's also a lefty, isn't he? So Brandstrom's playing on his offside, so maybe he doesn't want two players playing on their offside. I don't know. Zub as a righty, and then I guess that's why they're sticking with Hamnick with Sanderson. I don't know, but interesting. Oh, yeah, and Jared also just says in the chat Sokolov. I think that's towards Sam's point of getting that bottom six scorer. We were talking about during the game actually how fun a fourth line next year of like, because I'm totally on board to keep Brassard next year as well. I would love the idea of a fourth line of like Derek Brassard, Sokolov, and Greg at center, like just like the vet with two rookies. I think that'd be a lot of fun. And then acquire a scoring winger for the third line to play with. Ideally Shane Pinto on the third line if Norris is back, and then I guess Joseph on the wing as well. So how cool is it to be like the Sens need to make some additions this offseason and they're all depth. That's great.
Potentially goaltending, I will say. Potentially. Maybe.
I want Sogard to get a few more games in before the end of the season.
Absolutely.
Just to see what they have, because I'm perfectly happy. If Sogard is legit, I am perfectly happy with the Sogard-Forsberg tandem next season.
Also, and as for potentially sending someone from the AHL, in 55 great games, Cruikshank has 21 goals. Sokolov in 56 has 17. So like they're both scoring at pretty good paces, and then obviously Greg's up now. They got shooters. Rourke Chartier. Don't know why I struggle with that. 14 goals, 28 games, 26 years old, mean, ready.
Yeah. In the chat here, I'm sure Sam's gonna like this one from Hip Hopopotamus.
Nice.
Oh, I do like that.
Yeah.
Oh, nice Flight of the Conchords reference.
Says not a this season thing, but Sens get Norris back and Pinto is down the third line again for the bottom six. 100%. That is so huge. Having Pinto as a third line center instead of a second line center, the depth that adds is crazy. So nice. So that's what I would love for the Sens to acquire, like a third wing third line wing scoring forward. I don't know if I want to put like Sokolov straight into a top 9 type of role. I would listen if him and Greg and Brassard just running away with a fourth line would be so much fun. But if you can get like a really solid third line scorer to play with like a Pinto and a Joseph, I think that could be a lethal. Why not have 2 third lines? Like, why does the fourth line have to suck?
Pinto has 16 goals.
Pinto's good, man. And so,
Damn.
like, why do you need to have a slow and not good fourth line? Why not have basically 2/3, like, acquire someone to play with Pinto and Joseph, and the fourth line could be like Brass, Sokolov, and Greg. Like, I'm perfectly happy with especially like with now is the time. Like, the Sens have some high paid players up front. Take advantage of these like quality players on their ELCs. Take advantage of the fact that you have such a low cap hit with potentially really quality players to play in the in your depth spots. I think they should take advantage of that. Personally,
yeah,
but that is like
it's a bold decision to be good. It's a choice for sure. Brassard, 21 points in 50 games. Very good season from him.
He's putting it together, man.
No kidding. Do you want to talk about things that happened in the game? Or should
we should talk about it real quick, because there's also a good post here in the chat from Ottawa Senators Outlook. Watson, Talbot, DeBrincat, Pinto extensions. Pinto, DeBrincat, yes, I could go without Talbot and Watson.
Yeah, I mean, Watson, no. Talbot,
yeah, Watson's an easy no for me.
See, but I don't know. I guess we'll see how the season plays out before deciding that. But Watson's
an easy no for me. Talbot, I like the idea because the Sens have so many young goalies with great potential. I don't want to know how good Sogard is and have two goalies on one-way deals ahead of him.
Well, I don't know how good Sogard is out in like Minnesota, hypothetically. So give them a shot, I think.
Yeah. I don't know. When you have like also like Mandalese look pretty good. You got Merlainen in Finland right now killing it. Like leave the door open a little bit.
Yeah.
There's definitely room for some youth.
Yeah. Yeah, from Trio, as the Leafs have found out, you need some players that are more mean than goals. Some, yes, but also, Leafs don't have a Brady Tkachuk. They don't have, a guy who can score and also flex in front of the opposing goalie after scoring a goal. So, I absolutely agree. You do need some grit. You need some sandpaper, but like, I'm so tired of the fourth line needs to be like character guys who can't skate or play. Like, I'm sick of that.
You know who you should pick up? You should get Garnet Hathaway off the Boston Bruins. That's a rough dude who is is a very good two-way player. And I don't want him on the Bruins.
Nobody wants him on the Bruins. But yeah, as Matt said, maybe we do talk about the game a little bit. Maybe try and go more in depth. I mean, we did kind of talk about the big performers of the game. But yeah, anything you guys want to mention about the game specifically?
It was on ice. Lots of players in different colorful jerseys. Everyone looked like they were having a lot of fun. That was it was a game that kind of just like went really fast.
Yeah. It was over before it was what, like 2.5 hours?
It didn't feel like that. Like
no, the third
really
period went over my head. Like the third period started and ended within a minute to me. I have, in terms of notes on the game, I have Timmy going 5-hole, and that's literally it. Like it felt like the game was over by the third period.
Dude, I love the way he looked over his shoulder on the. He had so much time.
Are you guys chasing? You're not chasing? Are you sure? Okay.
Yeah. Ian Mendez tweeted he was shoulder checking when merging onto the 417 from Palladium.
Yes, I saw that.
That's so good. So good.
But it felt like Columbus got so badly outshot through 2 periods, and probably should have been a more disparity between the two teams in terms of scoring. But just by the time the third period rolled around, especially after the Timmy goal, it just felt over. Like the game was done at that point.
Which was sad because that's the only time they put in any effort. Like the first 2 periods, they barely touched the puck, and that third, they came out like they were a professional hockey team and that they wanted to win it. It was just too little, too late.
Yeah, the third period
This-
definitely swung things a bit, but the high danger chances were still 11-6 for Ottawa at 5-on-5.
Did Columbus score in the third? No, right? That second goal wasn't in the third, I don't think.
They only
Let me
had the
double
2
check.
goals, I'm pretty sure. I have on my
Yeah,
board
it's just
1, 2,
first
3,
and second.
4.
Yeah, first and second.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was there
Line
6
A
goals
goals
in
for
the
Ottawa?
second.
No, five.
Right, okay. That's a lot. It's
That
not
is a lot.
it's not as much as 8 goals, but that's still a lot.
Hypothetically.
Yeah, hypothetically, if there was another team who scored 8 goals this very game, this very day, sorry, that would probably be worth talking about. But you know,
You're watching
5 goals
Sens-
is still a lot.
the Washington Capitals going into the Sens Jackets game and scoring 8 goals.
Yeah, just like during intermission, just like skating on out. Like, okay, where
Instead of like the
Oh,
kids
here's-
playing
I
hockey, they
think-
let out the Washington Capitals in
I think-
intermission
I
to
think
score
this-
goals. Like,
This is a great stat here as well, other than just shots being 39-21, which is very funny. The giveaways 14 for Columbus, 5 for Ottawa.
Yeah,
So that's
a- that's a
remember
very
couple of
telling
really
stat
nasty
right there.
ones.
That's
I think Stutzle got most of them himself because he was just like there was a couple where he like reached his stick out to actually like and then successfully pulled it in. Like normally they're just doing their best to block a pass, but he's like, no, actually I'm a magnet, I'm a human puck magnet, and this is mine now.
he did get
dare
that turned
you
on him for the
punks.
second Columbus goal, though. That was picked off him.
I mean,
Line A goal,
look,
yeah.
you got to take a break.
Yeah.
You have to have a little nap.
He had to learn it from somewhere.
Yeah.
Hamonick's 2 goals. I can't
Yeah.
remember how his first one went, but his second one where he was like sitting
It's a point
right
shot.
in front of the goalie's face. How
Yeah.
did he get there?
I don't
What
know.
is he doing?
I don't know if anyone knows. I was trying to figure. He just went on like a field trip.
He's like, I need to defend the puck, and I know the puck is going towards the net because let's face it, it's not going towards our net.
No, he was like
Might as well
he was like
stand in
doing
front of
like
it.
the. He was in his Sherlock and mind palace. He's like, the puck will be here. I can defend it from.
Yeah.
It's in the net. Oh, it's in the other net.
He forgot what zone he was in. He's like, I gotta be in front of the goalie.
I gotta. He's like lifting sticks, but he goes off his. It's like, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing. It works.
So it was 2 goals for Hamonick. Was it 2
Mhm.
goals for Stutzle or just 1?
Yeah.
I
2.
think 2.
2 for
So we
Stutzle
still-
and then 1 for Chychrun.
That's right, Chychrun with his first goal. I can't. We mentioned it at the start, and I completely forgot it. But yeah, that man, the Sens look good.
They look
I
good.
like-
It's against Columbus, but they look good.
Like that's a strong trade.
There's been
It was
a
one of
lot
the
of these
weirder
shows,
trade
right,
deadlines.
where it's like, oh, the Sens look so good, then you're like, all right, it was against Columbus or Montreal. Um,
Well,
but
last
you know, we're
week
gonna
it was
take
against
it because the
not last
Sens
week,
have also
but
looked bad against like Chicago. So take it where we can.
I was going to say I was on that Chicago game. There is not the same looking team. That was a slow, deflated team, and they just have a renewed energy.
Oh,
They look dangerous.
Oh, Hamonick. Okay, so from Jared in the chat, Hamonick was the 6th man on because that's right. His second goal was there was the
Oh.
delayed penalty. It was
That's
a
right,
delayed
that's right.
I
penalty
forgot about that.
because so yeah, because Sanderson and Chychrun were on the ice already. So that's interesting.
Would he really be the 6th man on though?
No,
Like,
he,
it was-
he probably wasn't. He probably was
It was
already
probably,
on the
him
got
and
moved to
Sanderson,
6th man.
the pairing. It was probably him and
Yeah.
Sanderson pairing. And Chychrun jumped. So maybe Chychrun jumped on. And he's like, I'm just going to go to the net. He just
Well,
did
I
his
wanna
best
say-
Chris Neal impression on the power play.
I want to say Brassard was on the point, so it probably was just something with player shifting then. But
Oh, maybe.
or, yeah,
I just like the
Uh,
idea that DJ Smith is like looked over to DeBrincat and he's just like, I'm tired, man. And Hammer's like, send me in, coach.
From
he
Mr.
was like,
the
we
New
need a
Guy
big body, and
87
he looked
in the
over to
chat.
Brinkat's head and saw Hamonick.
Mr. the New Guy 87 in the chat says, was at the game, loved it, jealous.
Yeah,
That was the game. You were allowed to love it. I'm jealous.
Like what a
too.
great crowd too. Eh? Like
Yeah.
they were posting some screenshots from Ticketmaster. Like I don't know, yesterday at some point, and like very few tickets were left, and like a lot of people went to this game. I think there's a lot of hype with Chychrun coming to Ottawa, obviously, but like naturally, I mean, Pride nights do really fucking well, despite so many people online are saying about them. They do really,
But-
really well.
But Charlie, go work and you go broke. Don't you know that?
Tell that to the
No.
probably, if not very close to a sellout tonight in Ottawa.
It's not. It's not a real sellout though. That's fake news, Charlie.
I'm also very jealous of my cousin Amelia, who was at the game. So shout out, Amelia. You got to see a really good game. Very jealous. Also, Maud was at the game, which is why I'm doing this show, because Columbus is like her second team. So I don't know how she feels about this one, but I think
Sure.
otherwise, I think she would have taken this
That's an
game
odd
otherwise,
choice.
just because Columbus, she likes Columbus. So but yeah, jealous that she was at the game, because that was not that I could go to a game from here.
I'm
but-
sure Maud is lovely, but how can you like Columbus?
Hey,
I'm not
listen,
talking
man.
about the hockey team. I'm talking about that entire spot on the map.
Yeah, but I think also 2 years ago you could be like, how can you like Ottawa? So it's a fair,
Yes, but when you live here, you're sort of stuck with it to an extent. Columbus is it's out of the way.
People don't live in Columbus. They reside in it temporarily for school.
They travel. They travel through Columbus.
To quote How I Met Your
Columbus is a
Mother.
highway.
To quote How I Met Your Mother, my parents live in Ohio. I live in the moment. So,
That's true.
Oh man. No, I've been into Ohio once.
Jared,
it's just
sorry.
a giant highway.
Jared in the chat, damn, now I feel sorry for Maud. How has her heart felt with the last 5 years? Rough for both teams, though, eh? Like, that's rough. Oh.
There's some strength in that. There's a respectable courage there. There's an optimistic hope that I admire.
It builds character for sure. For sure.
Although I'm hoping that now that the Sens are getting better, you guys could send me some of that, as the Capitals are just they're falling off a cliff. Except for this one game, which has been a real outlier. But we are.
Screw you.
Do we want to talk about the
because the
trade
Caps
deadline?
are one of the teams that is in Ottawa's way right now. So
Yeah, I'm happy to get out of that way for you. I'm team tank for Bedard. I would love to see Bedard on a team with Ovi. Could you bloody imagine?
So officially now Ottawa is behind Buffalo because they both have 68 points, but Ottawa has played one more game. Also, screw Tampa for losing to Buffalo again.
Now that's a team that is so strange to me, the Buffalo Sabres, because they kind of like the Sens in the sense that it just took them one season and suddenly they weren't terrible anymore.
It's wild. Also, when you trade Jack Eichel and one of the many players coming back is having a better season than Jack Eichel, that helps with Alex Tuch, even though he's injured right now. But
when you trade Jack Eichel and the team gets better, like what's happening?
It's like when the Islanders lost Tavares to the Leafs in free agency and then went to the Eastern Conference Finals 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
What the Anyway, taking a quick look at the playoff picture here. So Ottawa currently at 68 points in 62 games. The two wild card spot holders are the Islanders and the Penguins with 72 and 71 points. So
boo.
So the Sens are the Sens are 3 points out from number 2, from the second wild card spot. They are 4 points out.
But look at the Islanders. They have 3 games in hand on the Islanders.
Yeah.
So
the Sens are 3 points out of wildcard spot 2, 4 points out from the top spot, but with 3 games in hand. So the Sens literally hold all the cards here. Like the Sens, if they keep playing strong, they can do it. Like they can do it. It's wild.
I remember saying the first time I was on that this is a playoff team, and there were a couple of games there where I thought I might have jinxed it, and I might be jinxing it again now, but. Screw it. This is a playoff team. This is a team that might not win, but it wouldn't surprise me if this was a deep run. If you got to the third round, I'd be like,
if
well
the Sens
done,
got
guys.
to the third round, they got to give another first round pick to Arizona. That was part of the Chychrun trade. If they make it to the third round of the playoffs, that Sens second round pick becomes a first. I wouldn't be that upset.
I
That'd be a fun playoff run.
No, I'd take that.
That's a good trade-off. Yeah. I mean, it is a stacked draft this year, but I'd still take that.
Yeah, well, I mean the Sens don't have their first round pick this year, regardless, unless it's a top 5 pick, but that's not going to happen.
So I'm kind of hoping the Caps get that third round, and I know I said tank for Bedard, but also tank for Matvei Michkov. That would be great.
Could you imagine going straight from the Ovechkin era to him?
Yeah. I mean, well, we lost Orlov recently, and we need to fill the team back up with Russians.
From Hip Hopopotamus in the chat, Boston doesn't want this smoke in round 1.
I mean, you're right.
The Sens have played well against Boston. They really have. Sam, you're on that episode of Game Over. Send Boston round 1 in the season, like the big home opener win.
Yeah, that was a big game. Like Boston might be on the top of the ladder right now, but they still have the ability to choke hard. I mean, when the Caps had like a 7-game losing streak, the one team they beat was Boston, and then they lost to like the Ducks. They lost to Chicago. Like Boston can really like lose their grip on a game. 7 games in a row for a playoff round, but
yeah,
the Bruins are on pace to have the best season of all time right now.
They have over 100 points already with 20 games to play. They have an over 100 goal differential with 20 games to play.
Yeah, the Boston Bruins are 49-8-5.
Goodness.
And you see, I think like David Pastrnak, was it 11 million that he re-signed for?
Which he could have signed for a lot more on the open market. He could have been the highest paid player if he wanted to next year. He could have.
Okay.
I think so.
Question.
Yeah.
Do the Bruins hit 60 wins?
Yes.
20 games to play, they would need 11.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
That's insane, right? When's the last time you hit
65 wouldn't surprise me.
That's like video game.
Like, could you imagine
right there?
How much fun would it be if this Sens team was Columbus to Tampa in the year that in 2019, the year that Tampa cracked 60 wins and they got swept by Columbus in the first round? Like, how much fun would it be if so Matt, our buddy Austin, who's in Toronto and is a Leafs fan, he will be on the show with me for the last game against the Leafs this season. Last game, one of them anyway, on April 1st. And he said that the Sens are giving him the Columbus beating Lightning team from 2019 vibes. And if the Sens make the playoffs, it's very likely they play Boston in the first round. And like, how much fun would that be? Especially since Ottawa has proven that they can play. I think the Sens have won 2 out of 3 games against Boston this year. So,
I mean, it would change the playoffs for everybody.
Yeah.
You know.
Like, granted, then they'd have to play the winner of some other insane matchup in the second round. But like, God,
Charlie, you know I love you like a brother, right?
Sure.
We would never be allowed in Boston or probably Toronto if the Sens were to sweep the Bruins or something like that, because the Boston implication is obvious, but Toronto being unable to get over that hump for the entirety of this stacked team generation they have right now, for the Sens to squeak in the playoffs, be the best iteration of that Bruins team, I mean, you'd hear Steve Dangle from here.
I'd be fired.
Like, you'd be fired out of spite, out of principle. That would be. I don't know if it's worth thinking about at this stage, but that would be just. Especially since the last time the Sens were in the playoffs, they beat Boston too. I mean,
that's true. Yeah, 2017 in round.
That was
round 1, wasn't it? Yeah,
it was. We are insufferable.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have any other.
From Robert, you no chance against Boston. You have no goalie. Talbot hasn't been terrible. Sogard looks really good. Yeah, Forsberg's probably not back for the playoffs, but
Sens beat Boston twice this season. Here's the thing about hockey: you don't need to be the best team like most of the time. Sometimes things just happen.
True.
You get weird bounces, man. I mean, that's all it takes to beat Olmark is a weird bounce. And Stutzler's probably gonna, get a couple of.
That is the main.
Well, I was gonna say all you need is a weird bounce and find a weirder guy than Brady Kachuk in the league.
The issue is Allmark. Honestly, as loaded as the Bruins skaters are, Allmark is the issue.
Yeah, that's the guy you have to beat.
Yeah, so Boston beat Ottawa in February 3-1, but before that they beat Boston in the home opener. I think it was 7-5, and the other game was the 3-2 win in the shootout against Boston. And let me double check to see who the goalie was in the shootout, because I'm pretty sure Allmark was in net for the 7-5. Or no, because they both played, because I think whoever started was taken out in that home opener game where it was 7-5 for Ottawa. In that 3-2 game, it was Swayman, which is fair. And I bet you Allmark was in net for the win in February.
Look, there's always the chance that someone gives Allmark the old Tonya Harding if they go into the playoffs, and then you just got to beat Swayman.
That was Allmark. Man, even in a loss, Allmark put up a .968 save percentage. Yeah. Allmark's a bum, by the way. He only had like a 920 something tonight.
Yeah.
He's got a 938 on the season. Oh my god.
Yeah, Ottawa,
maybe
I
Allmark's
think
just gonna retire, retire the season early, so he just gets that Vezina. Maybe he'll just kill toast the last few games. Be like, just sit me. And don't forget the playoffs start.
Okay. So two things. Great point from Hip Hopopotamus. What goalie won the cup last year? Sam, you know that answer.
This guy.
So all that to say, you don't need a top tier goalie to win the cup. Allegedly, even though usually it's a goalie that wins the cup. And then from Jared in the chat, Boston has a higher goal differential than any team since before 2010. Now, is that what they're on pace for, or has no team had a better goal differential than 100 and whatever it was?
103 is a lot.
Yeah. So I'd love to know that, Jared, if that's an on pace thing, or just now with 20 games remaining, they have a better goal differential than any team since 2010. That's so stupid. Oh,
I'm going to look at a couple of the games Allmark has played. Here we go. Game log. Okay, I was going to say he's not really saving that many shots. His last game he saved 24 and let 2 in. And then on the 28th of February against Calgary, he let in 3 goals and only stopped 54 shots. So, is he really that good, or is it just the defense in front of him?
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I've just noticed we've been live for an hour and 20 minutes. So if we want to, we should probably wrap this up pretty soon here. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about?
Look, if the Ottawa Senators make it to the playoffs and are facing Boston in the first round, I would just like to start the hashtag sneeze on Allmark. You need to get him some bad sushi, some underprepared blowfish. You need to get that guy sick, get him out of the game. Do it for your country.
I'm thinking we can just tell him he sort of has beaten hockey and get him to another sport. They're always looking for keepers in soccer. I feel like it's a catcher in baseball could be a fun new challenge for him. Water polo looks very tough. Maybe he wants a challenge. So I think there's options in terms of a career path for him, since he seems to have beaten this one. So
I like water polo for him. It's just like hockey, but the ice is a little bit warmer.
Yeah, water polo's tough, man. There's no reason for it.
On that note, we'll call it. So this was a lot of fun. This is a show we've wanted to do for a while with all 3 of us. So I'm really glad we got to do it. It went just as off the rails and very not at all.
We got back on the rails enough.
I think we kind of did a few times, then we kind of went veering back into nonsense a few times as well. So thank you to anyone who managed to sit through this whole episode. This is wild that 2 episodes of Game Over Ottawa have passed the hour 20 long mark in the past. God, I don't even know. in the last in the last 7 days, there's been 2 episodes that have been an hour 20 or longer. So,
did we just
maybe...
sends to the audience?
Let's do it. Let's do it right now. Let's get another one in for good measure. I'll hit the sends button again, because the Sens are on a 5-game heater and they're playing Chicago next, I believe. Let me double check. Actually, I do want to double check because I'm pretty sure they play Chicago and then Seattle and then Vancouver. Maybe. Let's see. Yeah, Chicago.
If you wanted a 6-game streak, Chicago's the team you play against.
Yeah, and then
I
Seattle.
think we lost to Chicago last time.
Yeah, that was the show that both of you were supposed to be on, but then Matt got 67's tickets because he forgot.
I forgot.
That's okay, because Sam was on the show.
Yeah, I got
At least
67's tickets too, but I don't live in Ottawa, so it was just a real waste of money for me.
At least Sam
I gave
was
him
here
to
Matt.
Matt.
Watch that game with me because that was rough. So honestly, like
you
the
shouldn't
Sens
have done
could
that
really
alone.
go on a. I mean, they're already on a run now. They're what 12-3-1 in their last 16. Nuts.
That's not bad.
But then actually got Chicago, super winnable. Seattle, Seattle.
They're a tough team this year.
So Seattle did kill Ottawa 8-4 earlier in the season. Stutzle had a hat trick, but that's the only bright spot of that game. And then it's Vancouver. You can win that. Calgary, they've been struggling. Edmonton, maybe not. Colorado,
it's always tough.
Maybe not. Toronto, maybe, because then it gets tougher. Then you got Edmonton, Colorado, Toronto, Pittsburgh, Boston, Tampa, New Jersey. So the sense of this really nice stretch here of weaker opponents, and then it gets real tough. So they have to get these points against the bad teams. If you can't walk away with if you can't walk away with a whole bunch of points against Chicago, Vancouver, and Calgary, you're going into a stretch. Like I said, Edmonton, Colorado, Toronto, Pittsburgh, Boston, Tampa, New Jersey. Most of those are killers.
Yeah.
Outside of Pittsburgh. But Pittsburgh is a team that you don't want to be gaining any space because you got to catch them.
You don't take them lightly. That's the
Exactly.
problem with crap teams with superstars on them. It's the same with the Oilers. You know, if you don't treat them with the respect that Connor McDavid deserves, they will beat you. It doesn't matter how good the team as a whole is.
Yeah. Well, with that, any final words from you guys?
But
Go Sens, go.
I love it. We
I
hit the
should have
Sens
done
button.
that.
Go Sens, go, baby. Let's get the Sensdom. There's the Sens, baby. Sens, baby. That's how we do it. All right, folks. Thank you for tuning in. And if you listened, okay, guys, if they listened to the whole episode, what should they comment? Leave a comment that says.
No, it's Jacob Chychrun's son's name. That's the one.
Yeah. So
yes.
Leave your Jacob Chychrun's son's name. That's going to start with a J.
Must begin with a J.
Has to begin with a J. So our picks
That's the only rule.
were Jasson, Yari, and Jump Shot.
Jump shot.
Jump shot. So leave a comment with what you believe, and also
Oh man.
should there be context? Should it just be a whole bunch of comments with just names that starts with a J, or should there be context?
I mean, all the context you need is, I guess, his last name after that.
Okay, so yeah, it's just a random name that starts with a J and Chychrun. So as an example, Yari Chychrun, Jump Shot Chychrun. Just comment that if you've made it all the way here in this video.
Middle name for extra points.
Hey, if you want bonus points, if you want to be a teacher's pet to Sam, I guess.
Sorry,
Going for
I
extra
just
credit.
want Jump Shot's middle name to be Hot Sauce. Jump Shot Hot Sauce Chychrun.
That takes a minute to say.
I love that though. All right, on that
Love it.
note, we'll be signing off, and I can't wait to have on Game Over Ottawa in the 2032-33 season just a young jump shot hot sauce Chychrun on the show. When we get to the point where we can have current Sens players, we're going to get to that point. This show's going to grow. We're going to get to the point of getting current Ottawa Senators on. So Jacob Chychrun, if you're watching this 10 years from now, when you have a kid, please name him, jump shot hot sauce Chychrun, and we'll have you both on the show.
Every time I know you're going to say it, I crack up. Like, I know it's coming and I can't.
Gotta love it. All right, folks. Well, thank you for tuning in to Game Over Ottawa on this especially long episode yet again. So we'll see you next time. And there's a quick round of applause for these guys because Matt's been on 3 times and Sam's been on 5. So appreciate the effort you guys have put in with the show. Love to have you guys on. Yeah, nice to have a guest I don't have to worry about impressing. I can just be not at all analytical, and I know that I'll still look like the most professional between the 3 of us with this show, so I'll take it. I like the silence there.
Yeah, it was kind of a backhanded insult. Maybe we'll start our own Sense podcast.
Jay,
what are you going to call it? The Jump Shot Hot Sauce Podcast. We should wrap it up. All right, well, thank you guys again for coming on, and thank all of you for listening. And
I can't believe you said that to us.
Looking forward to seeing all those names in the comment section.
Charlie, I love you like a mother. How could you?
Go Sens go. We'll see you guys later on. Oh, wow. I didn't even hit the ending button. I couldn't. We're still live. I didn't hit the ending button. I got you guys. I wouldn't hit the ending button now.
Oh,
I got you.
Motherfucker.
Prankster.
Game over! Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.